Football picks week 6. Week 5 was a very bad week. Went 5-5, had some close games, some upsets, but that's what happens in college football. Now week 6 hopefully can be a lot better. I'm putting this up a little bit early. I'm going to be out of town next week for work, so I don't know the 10 games ESPN put, so I just went and picked 10 games. Just picking the winners. Um, the first game, Michigan on the road against Northwestern. I'm going to go with Michigan. They're one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. They're letting Denard Robinson do what he does best, getting touchdowns, yards with his legs, and then complementing that with the pass. Northwestern gave Illinois all they could handle last week. Persia came in, did a splendid job till he got hurt out in the fourth quarter. Illinois won on that last-minute touchdown. I don't know the status of Persia right now. If he plays, he can, of course, go touchdown for touchdown with Michigan, but if not, I think Michigan's going to win this one. Relatively easy, but I like Michigan on the road to continue their hot streak. The next game is Notre Dame at home over Air Force. Air Force, of course, one of those ground and pound, the triple option attack. We all know how they're going to attack. They do it very well. Notre Dame's front seven is going to be tested, or stack the box with 8-9 guys in there. The box is going to be full. But I think Notre Dame at home, like I said earlier, they got their swagger back after a rough start. They got confidence in Reese, Floyd on the outside. The run game's doing really good. I like Notre Dame at home. The next game, Virginia Tech at home against Miami. They were handled pretty easily by Clemson. Clemson made a believer out of me. I have all the respect for Clemson now, but Virginia Tech at home is going to be a redemption game for them. Miami does have speed, but they're very inconsistent with how they show up on the field. They'll look really good one week and then just totally out of sync. I think Virginia Tech's going to be a very mad team. They're going to take it out on Miami. David Wilson on the ground. They just got to manage the game, not turn the ball over. I like Virginia Tech at home. The next game, Missouri on the road against Kansas State. Kansas State pulled off a shot. Not really a shocker. They were. Baylor was on upset alert. Kansas State did knock off Baylor. But I like Missouri on the road. They played Oklahoma very tough in Norman, which is hard for any team to do. I like Missouri's defense. Franklin back there at quarterback, of course, he's a run threat. He seems to be progressing as a passer each week. I like Missouri to knock K-State off their high. Kind of don't want to call it a letdown game for Kansas State, but I like Missouri over Kansas State. Next game, Nebraska at home over Ohio State. Nebraska got a rude awakening, a rude welcome into the Big Ten. A little bit of a shocker how easily Wisconsin handled them. Nebraska got all their defensive players on the field, all their stars, Crick, Alfonso Denard on the field at once, but they could not handle that ground game by Wisconsin. And of course, like I said, the balance with Russell Wilson just made it hard. Well, it's going to make it hard for any team. But Nebraska at home, they pride themselves at home. It's going to be another game where they're going to be very mad. Ohio State, one of my teams on the fall, not the team they've been in the past. Of course, all these NCAA, rule violations. Braxton Miller, a fine athlete, but he has some fine-tuning to do in the passing game, obviously. They were blanked by Michigan State up until the final seconds. I'd like Nebraska's defense to take it out on Ohio State. Ohio State does have a respectable run game, but Nebraska's going to stack that box, force Braxton Miller to be a passer, which he's not yet. He will be, but he's not. And Taylor Martinez and Rex Burkhead, I think, are going to do just enough on the ground. Martinez needs to be a better passer to complement that run game. But I like Nebraska at home in a revenge game. Not a revenge game, but just a bounce-back game. The next one in the SEC, Arkansas at home over Auburn. Arkansas fought back from a deficit to A&M, pulled it out again in the last minutes. Auburn, again, showed their magic from 2010. Barrett Trotter being very efficient, making plays when he has to, knocking off South Carolina on the road. But Arkansas, like, you know, it's the same story. Tyler Wilson, that gunslinger with that receiving core. Auburn's going to be able to score. Arkansas is going to outscore them. Arkansas is going to have to bring those multiple blitzes from the outside, try to confuse Barrett Trotter into some mistakes, make him try to win the game instead of being a manager and making just plays when he needs to, you know, make plays throughout the game. But I like Arkansas at home over Auburn. Next game, LSU at home over Florida. LSU, along with Alabama, is playing the best football, I think, right now, along with Wisconsin. But Florida, you know, a lot of people thought maybe they could upset Alabama at home. Didn't happen. You know, if you contain Demps and Rainey, you can beat Florida. And I think LSU is maybe not as talented individually as Alabama, but they're so deep, probably the best defensive line in the nation. Those next 11 guys on the bench can step in for those stars and they won't miss a beat. Lee at quarterback's doing an amazing job handling just managing the game, making the big plays. Surprisingly, making the big plays. You know, he's got all his weapons back there on offense. The ground game in between can wear down a defense. I think they're going to wear down Florida and continue to that meeting with Alabama in a few weeks. The next game, upset. I like Texas over Oklahoma in the annual Red River rivalry. And this is one of those games you throw out the records, you throw out stats, anything leading up to that game, no matter how bad one team is or how good one team is going in, it doesn't matter. Oklahoma, of course, coming off the thrashing of Ball State, kind of a warm-up game. Texas handled Iowa State when they were on upset alert. But Texas is just a completely different team since they benched Garrett Gilbert. You know, they've got that multiple ways to attack you with quarterback. Of course, McCoy, more of a pocket passer, can make plays on the move. Ash, with his feet, very versatile, brings different arrays, going to force Oklahoma to cover every ground on the field, every area of the field, which they can. I mean, it's going to be a close game. I just think Texas, this is their chance to show people that they are back in the Big 12, win their rivalry game against Oklahoma. Of course, they are going to have to stop that connection of Ryan Broyles on the outside, but the defense is playing good. The whole team's just playing great since McCoy took over and Ash. You know, the defense keeps everything in front of them. They play to their ability, and they get the job done. Now the next two games, Georgia on the road over Tennessee. This is one of those games when you think Tennessee is going to win, Georgia wins. When you think Georgia wins, Tennessee is going to win. I think it's pretty fair. You might get equal voting around the nation right now. Georgia is playing great after starting 0-2. You know, they played terrible against Boise, outplayed South Carolina, like I said, still lost. But Aaron Murray's playing great right now, coming off the big win against Mississippi State at home. They do go on the road against Tennessee. Tyler Bray back there at quarterback, a gunslinger. I think Tennessee can go touchdown for touchdown with Georgia. The running game's not there where it needs to be for Georgia. I think that's going to benefit, for Tennessee, the running game's not there. That's going to benefit Georgia with those big bodies up front. They're not going to have to stack the box, which will allow them to focus on the playmakers Bray has on the outside. So just manage the running game with the front seven there and focus on the pass. And I think Aaron Murray's going to sling it around. Isaiah Crowell, I like Georgia on the road to be a contender in the East now. Of course, South Carolina losing helps out a lot, but beating Tennessee and then Florida, their next big game, I think Georgia's going to really make some moves in that East. Now the final game, ASU on the road, Arizona State on the road over Utah. ASU quietly one of the better teams out of the Pac-12, the favorites to win the Pac-12 South. Utah, kind of one of those teams, you're not really sure where they're coming. They'll look good one week, bad the next. ASU, is going to have to play more consistent throughout the game. They're a team who a couple drives will look really good and then just look really bad the next couple drives. But they've got playmakers on the outside. Cameron Marshall, very tough runner in between the tackles, deceivingly fast. So that's going to benefit them big time. Brock Osweiler at quarterback needs to cut down the turnovers, both fumbles and throwing, trying to fit the ball in the tight windows, cost them some big turnovers. So ASU, and defensively, I talk about their front seven. Injuries have plagued them. Vontaze Burfict not playing up to his par, kind of playing a little bit over aggressive, missing some open field tackles. The secondary is very susceptible. That's their weakness. The defensive front seven does kind of get collapsed on the outside, allowing runs to the outside. That's something they're going to have to fix, something Utah can't exploit. But I like ASU on the road. Their passing game, it is conservative at times. They like running the zone read with the running back, Brock Osweiler. And off that, they'll do a lot of running back swings, jet screens to the wide receivers, sending the wide receiver in motion with the bubble screen. And what that does is it just makes the defense come up. And if the defense doesn't come up, they still respect the deep pass. ASU will easily gets 10 yards on every one of those plays. Then once the defense does come up, bam, down the seam every time. So I think that's going to give ASU the edge. So those are my picks this week: Arizona State, LSU, Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, Nebraska, Missouri, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and Michigan. All right.